Hello there everyone and welcome back. It is time to have a look this time around into the Adeptus Mechanicus. And at first glance, they are pretty straightforward to understand, at least on the outside. They are basically the equivalent, at least the majority of their ships are the equivalent to their Imperial Navy counterparts. They even have the exact same loadouts for most of their cruiser class type vessels. There is a lot going on underneath the hood though to be mindful of, to get excited about, and diverse your playstyle a little bit. For the Adeptus Mechanicus aren't really keen on getting close and personal. A lot of the reason is because they're really bad at boarding, at least in comparison to what the Imperial Navy are. They are by no means slouches when it comes to close combat. With that said, since they still have the amazing prow armor of the Imperial Navy and they still have those vicious macro cannons, but what they make up for in the lack of torpedoes for the majority of the fleet, they have access to Nova cannons. All the cruisers in their single battleship, the Arch Mechanicus, has access to a Nova cannon, and that at least promotes a more longer range type of harassment type of style, I guess, when you combo it with the fact that every single one of their cruisers, as well as like a couple of their light cruisers, also have lance turrets on them, and these lance turrets go to full 12,000, or at least it's like 15,000 unit range for Armada 2, so they are able to chip targets down slowly, but it's going to be a very slow process with that itself. With the inclusion though, I haven't talked too much about the orders just yet, or the stances rather. Lock-on helps tremendously in that factor, for it also extends the range of a lot of your weapons. It gives it an additional level. 4,500 units is like the integers, the tiers as it were, for the range, and that's going to help tremendously with the long range potential there. You will still need to spot out your targets, either using a single recon probe or your fighters to good effect, but they will be able to do damage at least slowly and surely at range, so you can kind of plant yourself down on a cluster of objectives and force the opponent to come to you more often than not, if the situation warrants it. And if you need to get in close there, be ready to deal with a lot of boarding damage, since that will probably be the easiest way your opponent's going to want to take out your ships, especially if they can isolate them piecemeal. The Adeptus Mechanicus also has access to additional point defense, at least greater number in comparison to the Imperial Navy, so you're going to be dealing with torpedoes and bombers a lot more effectively, so long as you can keep a nice decent formation with the rest of your fleet. However, your frigates do not benefit from these additional point defense, so being able to get a handful of them into your fleet is not really going to be as helpful as you would like. They're going to be more relegated to scouting and spotting, and to pretty much capture points on the side there that are not within convenient range of your main fleet formation. But boy, do they still have a lot of frigates to choose from. They have every single frigate of all the Imperial Navy or the Imperium factions, so you're going to have access to the Gladius, you're going to have access to the Nova, you even have access to the Hunter, and of course all the other variants of the traditional Imperial Navy frigates. So any style you're going for, whatever tactic you may have in mind, you basically have a frigate to help complement that in the scouting role, and of course when you keep in mind the fact that the frigates have a scanner pulse-like ability that allows them to reveal ships at a good distance range, even concealed ships. So you're going to be relying on them to kind of at least reveal your ships on top of the other abilities I mentioned before. So there's going to be a lot of tools at your disposal to try and identify these ships and weather them down. However, with the current iteration of the Nova cannons, I feel they are going to be an extremely difficult weapon to utilize properly, just due to the long charge up time that's required to utilize the cannon. Never mind the fact that your ships now have to hold position as they're firing a Nova cannon. It is taking a long time and gives your opponent a really good opportunity to dodge the cannon. Realistically, what you might do with the Nova cannons to get value, aside for using stasis bombs and other means to kind of hold them in place, you are going to want to perhaps aim these at the battleship flagship itself. And the reason for that, more often than not, is because the battleships in Armada 2 do not have high energy turn available to them. So if you position the Nova cannon properly, they only have access to all ahead full. So even if the battleship makes it out of the Nova cannon blast, you still got multiples available to you to kind of lead the shot ahead of time or bait them into it. Or just straight up put the battleship in a really precarious position where it's really easy for you to isolate and focus the ship down. Or at least some other ship that it may have been protecting at the time. Otherwise, it's going to be fun to play with the Mechanicus due to the success I feel like I've had with the Imperial Navy. They're going to be playing very similar to that, with the exception of having a little bit less options. With, like I said before, they only have the cruisers available to them. The Overlord, the Mars, and the Grand Cruisers are not really available to the Adeptus Mechanicus, so you're going to be restricted to just your cruisers and the Arch Mechanicus, which is the Adeptus Mechanicus battleship. It is potentially an odd type of ship when you consider the fact that it is leaning close to the territory of being like a hybrid ship. It has a lot of lance turrets on top of it, as well as lance batteries on the broadside. In Armada 1, the hybrid ships like the Lunar and the Gothic were never really all that utilized. There was a lot of just fixating on either heavy macro cannons or strictly all lances. And when you have only a single battleship that's kind of a mix of both, it remains to be seen, at least in super competitive play, how valuable the Arch Mechanicus will be in comparison to something like a Retribution, or even an Apocalypse battleship there, with both of them having access to Nova cannons as per the rules of the Adeptus Mechanicus. But all in all, with everything all said there, the Adeptus Mechanicus fleet is just straight up a much more powerful type of Imperial Navy fleet in comparison to the Imperial Navy itself, with the caveat that you need to be very wary of when your opponent gets in very close and very aggressive. So facing off against fleets like the Tyranids or Space Marines, or anything that favors close range engagements and boarding, is going to leave you really fragile really quickly if you're not prepared for them. But with the additional point defense, you should be able to stave off that aggression a little bit better than you would as the Imperial Navy. So I am interested to see how this fleet performs when we get to the live release. So thank you everyone for watching. I am going to be looking into doing some live streaming over the weekend of Armada 2, and hopefully I will be able to show off a little bit of multiplayer competitive play. But it's not quite decided what kind of factions I'll play as. I am itching to try out a lot of the new stuff though, and I'm really damn excited about the Apocalypse battleship. It remains to be seen how it performs. So stay tuned for that if you are around during the weekend.